Well, hello, I'm Colin Dunlap of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and welcome to another edition in the video form of the West Virginia Q&A. A lot of times I answer these questions on my computer in the written form, but every once in a while I like to mix it up, and I bought this new flip cam, so I'm going to try it out today. Got a bunch of questions in. If I get to your question, that's great. If I don't get to it, keep it coming. I have a bunch of questions, need to weed through them. I'm getting your questions, it's just that I might not be getting to them. So don't get discouraged, keep them coming. You can see the address to send them to above and below this video. Again, keep them coming and I'll get to them, I promise. Got this question for probably about the fourth time, this time from Jim in Morgantown. I don't know why I keep getting this question. How many points do you think the Mountaineers will score when they play Marshall? I'll go with my stock answer. You're not going to get me to bite on this. I'll just leave it at this, Jim. West Virginia, for a variety of reasons, will score 150 points against Marshall if given the opportunity. That's all I'll say about that, and we'll move on to the next question. It's from Barney in Albany, Kentucky. WVU has not had a large running back the past few years and does not seem to be recruiting larger, faster backs. Why is this happening? Barney, I disagree with you a little bit. Ryan Clark's a pretty big guy. This Lindemood kid is a very big guy, and I think that those two, fullbacks such as that can really play and are big kids who can run and big kids in that system that work. But, Barney, what do you want? You got a home run hitter in Noel Devine who can really go. You have Tavon Austin, who was recruited as a running back who can really go, and you have Trey Johnson, who has really burst on the scene in a sense during this preseason camp. So I think the mixture of the fullbacks and then the speedy tailbacks, kind of the water bug sort of backs that can run in and out and really find seams. And the home run hitters, I mean, Noel Devine is as good as a home run hitter as there is in college football. I think West Virginia is just fine. But to say they're not recruiting big backs, I really like what Ryan Clark brings. If he can just keep his nose clean and kind of walk a straight line, as Bill Stewart says, the kid will be fine. And Lindemood really, really opened some eyes in this preseason camp. He knocked the snot out of some people. Third question, and we'll get to 4 questions today. This is the third question from Ron in Jeanette, Pennsylvania. What do you know about Chris Beatty? I've heard he is on a fast track through the coaching ranks. Well, Chris Beatty may be, but I think there's a little bit of concern. I don't think it. I know it, one would seem, in that the kids he recruits, there's been an alarming attrition rate. Some of the kids he recruits, particularly more some of the high-profile kids Coach Beatty has recruited, have left. And I think that while he has done very well with some kids, he has lost some kids who he brought in and were going to be superstars or at least very good players. So while Chris Beatty is undeniably a very good on-the-field football coach in terms of a recruiter, and it'll come around, I'm sure it will, but in terms of a recruiter, I really think it needs to get to a point in which the kids he brings in need to stay and need to flourish, because there are just a few concerns in that regard right now. Last question we'll get to is from Robert in Erie, Pennsylvania, and he writes, Geno Smith looks like a pure passer, and Brad Starks and Ivan McCartney look like outside threats. That said, is Jeff Mullen's offense too horizontally focused? You know, I kind of got into this in some of the things that I wrote up leading into this Coastal Carolina game that'll happen on Saturday. There have been times, I think, where the bubble screen stuff, the eagle screen stuff, the comeback screen stuff has been a little bit too much. And there's nothing wrong with taking shots down the field, much like the ball that Ulrich Arnett caught against Marshall last year, I guess would be a good indicator of what can happen when you go vertically. Jeff Mullen, sometimes, I think my opinion is that his offense gets caught in trying to keep people honest, trying to run that comeback screen stuff, trying to run that little bubble screen stuff a little bit too much. This year, though, and you mentioned McCartney and you mentioned Starks, how do you not mention Tavon Austin? That's the kid, Robert, that's the kid who, in terms of a vertical threat, can really, really, really hurt teams. You saw what he did on that kickoff return to start the Connecticut game last year. Kid's unbelievably fast. He can run past people. So, yes, you're right. With Starks, with McCartney, with Stedman Bailey, don't forget about Stedman Bailey, sort of stretching people out, but then Tavon Austin running flat past them, yes, I do think, and Geno's arm is the biggest component. with all those things in place, I do think Jeff Mullen will take more cracks down the field this year, and I think those 60,000 people who sit inside of Mountaineer Field won't hem and haw about the comeback screens and the little flanker screens and the things like that to Jock Sanders and to Noel Devine. But keep in mind, sometimes those things do set up bigger plays down the road. I just think that this year, though, you will see those cracks taken straight down the field. Alrighty, well, that was good. Again, keep your questions coming. Sometimes I'll get to them on the written form with my fingers on the keyboard. Sometimes this ugly face will be in front of you with this camera. So, again, the address is above and below. Send them, and I'll get to them whenever I can. I'm Colin Dunlap of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and I enjoy answering these Q&A deals, so keep them coming. Thanks.